It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Monday, October 21st, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another week together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, do not follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Provi In The Media, the Sunday Message Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, it is a new week. It is Monday again, and we're on the 21st, which means we are like 10 days away from November, guys. We have gone 2/3 of the month of October. Hope you guys have been giving glory to God the best that you can in the different areas that you're able to do it. I hope you guys also had an amazing and awesome Sunday service too. Me, just a great weekend, and this week I feel it's a little bit more relaxed than the other weeks that I've had. Also, don't forget we have Q&A Thursday every single week, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can, and if you haven't yet, leave a like and comment. For today's video, the one you're listening to right now, go ahead and click that like button. And then leave a small comment. Just tell me how you're doing, how things are, things you agree or may disagree about today's podcast, all right? So I am super thankful and happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title, I love it. Ultimately, it is God's will. Love this title. Man, it's Monday, and I am thankful and grateful that we are living for another week. We're able to do it in this history. And what a Sunday message. This is one that I definitely want to talk about when it comes to the Rebel Pastor. Maybe not for this week, but the week after. But I'm very, very grateful and thankful. What a busy and tiring week. But things are definitely slowing down as we get closer and closer to colder and colder weather. Yeah, it's getting cold, guys. Warmingdong's it's not like freezing yet or anything like that. I think this morning was like 12 or 13 degrees during Sunday service. I'm in a suit. I don't have any jackets. I don't have anything winter, guys. I got to go to like Uniqlo or something. I got to get some of those, the long johns, the innerwear and stuff like that, just because it's getting cold. And I was freezing today because today's service in Warmingdong was outdoor. We were outdoor because all of Daejeon came to give service together in Warmingdong. So we're out on the grass lawn. Oh, it was tough. It was really tough. But of course, it was so nice to see so many people come. The region of Daejeon, all the churches came together to have a united service and to give glory to God. And it's like 12, 13 degrees. Like I got there around 9:30 a.m., 12, 13 degrees. So it's cold already. There was like this breeze that was whipping up through Warmingdong in the morning time. And then I was in the shade. So it was freezinger. Like it was more freezing during that time. So I ended up moving. It was so cold. I ended up just moving all my stuff into the sun, just to feel some heat on my back and my face and stuff because it was cold. Oh, man. And on top of it, I was translating. I was translating the message. My hands were shaking. Sometimes I had to stand up and, because when you're just sitting there not doing anything, you're just getting colder and colder. So I had to move around to warm myself up too. But I was just making sure that the sun was beating on my back and my face because that was the only thing keeping me warm. I need to go out and get a new jacket, because I have zero, nothing from winter. Even if I look at my pants, my warmest pants is sweatpants and jeans. That's all I have. I got to go out and get some stuff so that I can, I realize it's midway through October and it's starting to get this cold. I'm going to get freeze. I need to buy a bunch of stuff from, I need to buy like sweaters. I got a bunch of hoodies already. I need some sweaters. I need this and that. But yeah, definitely the jacket's going to be a huge thing that I really need. And, the one good thing that I thought was I felt like I was suffering for this history. But technically speaking, I'm suffering because of my not ignorance, but I just don't have any winter clothes, which I do need to get. And I do have some winter clothes in Vancouver. But my parents aren't coming till after the winter time. They're coming in April, so I'm not going to get any of that. So I definitely need to get that stuff. But it was so cold that right after the benediction, right when the announcement starts, I got up, went straight to the cafeteria to warm up. The good thing is they have all the announcements in the cafeteria that they're playing it on a TV. And what's even better is being in the cafeteria, you're with all the babies, right? So there were like the Japanese babies, the Korean babies, just running around screaming and playing. And it was just, it's just amazing to see these second gens running around, playing on the grass lawn. Even on the grass lawn, they're running around and playing. Even though it was during Sunday service, they're kids, right? They're Milky Way. They're tiny kids, and they're just playing around. I love just watching kids, because kids, when you see kids playing around, intention is so transparent. You know exactly what they want, what they do, right? That's why, I don't know, this sounds really like I sound like a really, really old guy, but I always carry like candies and stuff with me. Because whenever there's kids, I just want to give them something to make them happy. So I was like, giving kids these chewy candies, and the parents probably weren't too happy that I was giving these chewy candies to them. But, the kids were loving it. Oh, I met some kids from Mongolia. There's these twins. They were so cute. Oh, yeah, this next generation is going to be awesome. They are, right? And I can't wait to see this generation grow up and see how spiritual they really become. But yeah, it's getting colder here, guys. It was like the high was 15 or 16 or something along that line. It was pretty cold. And I think because it's colder and we use a lot more energy to heat and warm ourselves up while we're in the cold, I think because of that, we feel tired faster. That's what I think. That kind of makes sense, right? Because we're always shaking, or it's too cold, and your body is like kind of working overtime to keep your body warm and heated up. That it uses a lot of energy, and later you just get more tired. Like I was exhausted by like 4 p.m. Right, and then later I played volleyball too. And, I was like, one thing you guys got to know about me, and I think a lot of people who play sports with me know that I get injured all the time. I do. I get injured all the time. But I'm just glad it wasn't like I got injured again. Yeah. Well, and not again, because it's been years since I've been injured. So if you talk to like Eddie knows me. Eddie knows that I get injured all the time playing sports. And, yeah, I'm just glad that this time I turned my ankle. I stepped on someone's foot, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna die type of injury. But it was kind of like, there's no point of me, I've already just injured it. There's no point of me like injuring it again. So I just kind of left, and I went to elevate and ice it and make sure it wasn't too bad. Even right now with me, it's not really throbbing or anything like that. So that's a good sign. And another good thing that it allowed me to do was I left volleyball early. So right away I was able to just go to this burger shop, because I haven't had a good burger in a long time. And this burger wasn't like a great burger, but it was made like, they make it when you order it. So that's a good thing. And this burger wasn't that great, but it was good. And I just wish there was more fries. The fries were so good. So, guys, where they give you the most amount of fries? It's at Five Guys. You guys been to Five Guys? They give you so many fries. Like if you order a small, it's enough for like 3 people, right? But having that burger today really made me miss the city a bit, And, I haven't been to any fast food burger joints at all. Like today, I don't even consider it a fast food. It took like 15 minutes to make my burger. Like they made it from scratch, right? I haven't had I can't have fast food because the place I live has no fast food. Yeah. So 2.5 months, no fast food. So this is probably why I'm kind of healthy right now. And I think the entire time here, I think I've had fried chicken once or maybe twice during like whenever like these countries are ordering in from Myeongdong, like they'll order fried chicken sometimes. But I even when they order it, they'll just give me a couple of pieces, but I don't really eat it as an entire meal, right? So I think I'm eating quite healthy while I'm over here too. So I don't know. When's the last time you guys have had like fast food, like junk food? Of course, I do have junk food. Like I don't drink a lot of junk food. For instance, when I go to get like a Sprite or something, I buy those really small cans. Those small cans are like 250 to maybe 250 milliliters around there, something like that. So it's not really yeah, it's not really like I don't really drink a lot of it, right? So like I'm very like I'll minimize what like the bad food that I eat. I will eat like say today I ate a chocolate bar because it was right before sports. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But yeah. Oh, okay. So there was something I was listening to over the weekend. So I was watching a video, and it was education, like it was leaders education, and I think the pastor was focusing on purity, and there was something that this pastor said that I thought was so true. And it was this pastor was talking about leaders will sin when like they have what was a statistic? It was like 70 to 80% of people like getting into sin is when it's when they're exhausted and tired from running so hard. And I think that's so true. I think a lot of you guys who are leaders out there, one of the big things that leaders do is they're working, running full time and exhausting themselves almost to the point that they're burning out. And of course, I don't even think that's like something that's just only for leaders either, right? When anyone is exhausted, when anyone is tired, whether it's work or school or anything else, this is when people are more likely to commit some type of sin. Right? It's not like, like when we think about Sunseam, we haven't reached that like, what do you call it? When you have video games, they have God mode, right? When it's really like, it's like expert level. I don't think any of us have reached God mode where you can go into exhaustion and then still do more. Actually, that just kind of sounds like Sunseam's life, right? And because he's at such a high level, very few people, I would say only one person can actually, it's just Sunseam. Who can get to that level and keep going. Just look at everything he's doing right now, right? Conditions he keeps setting and everything else. Like, there's no one else that's reached that God mode kind of thing, right? And like, even for me, I already know that I cannot like be with Sunstein for a long time. I just know myself. I am not at that level. I would definitely, much more than me feeling burdened and like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted and tired, I would definitely make him more frustrated by me because I couldn't hang at that level for that long, right? Even though my spirit wants to be next to him, listen to him, listen to the word and everything else like that. I mean, you know that feeling. Don't you guys know that feeling, right? You want it so badly inside, but on the outside, you know yourself. You're self-aware, like, I can't do this. Like, you question and doubt yourself. There's no way you can handle it. And I think that's kind of like the reality of most of us is most people cannot hang at that level, right? Being burnt out, don't have the energy to stop yourself from doing things like sinning. And, like once you hit that level of exhaustion, you don't have the energy to overcome, right? And I think this is like, I think we do need to hit those moments so that we can strengthen our mental fortitude, that what we need to run until the end, right? So, when I look at Sunseam, one thing that he teaches through his life is no matter how hard it gets, no matter how exhausted or burnt out he is, no matter how great the slander, the difficulty, hardships, whatever point it reaches, if it reaches a boiling point, he'll always reach out to God and Jesus, 100%. He never defers. He never defers to his own thinking. He never defers to like, oh, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore. It's always about God. He always talks to God, always tries to figure out what's the better thing to do, right? And I think that's something that we should learn is whenever, no matter how difficult it gets, what the son seems to do, he prays. He connects. He connects deeply. And he's always asking, and the harder it gets, the more he asks, which is the proper thing to do, right? That is the proper thing to do. That's what we should be doing is when it gets that hard, this is when we're supposed to reach out to God even more, right? That's what's supposed to happen. But a lot of times we just don't do it, right? That's just kind of like the reality of our level. But, that's something that we need to learn, that no matter how hard it gets, like think about this. When you look at this week's Sunday message, which I can't wait to go into, man, it's like, you kind of think to yourself is like, again, like the righteous people have to suffer on behalf of the wicked, on behalf of the time period. This is our responsibility as people of this history. We are responsible for the ignorant who do not know better, the ignorant that are sinning, right? Like we don't know any better. And that is something, that is something that I think is that we have to really get ourselves to that level, right? And I think that getting to that point of exhaustion helps us to build ourselves that the next time we can handle that level and go even deeper. And the next time we handle it even more. And I think the biggest mistake people will do is not getting to that level. Right? Not getting to the border of exhaustion where we know like, man, this is tough. Can I make it through? But I think one thing that we have always, just the fact, looking at all of us who are listening to this podcast right now and all of us who have made it through 2023, we've gone to that point. We've gone to that point of questioning or doubting. We've gone to that point where we're like, no, like we understand and we reason ourselves, and no matter how difficult it got, we were fine, right? And I think that's something that we can think about even more carefully and more deeply also. Yeah. So yeah, it's like I said, I hope it's something that kind of puts more deeper thoughts into our hearts, but helps us to realize once again, it's after you have this great victory where you just defeated Satan and you're having a great time and you're like, yes, we celebrated, and then something small happens again. You're like, oh no, not again. Do I have to go through this again kind of thing? And this is kind of when we are more inclined to sin. It's more easier for us to get to that level kind of thing like that. So yeah, that's something that I really thought about too. Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, guys, for me, this is actually a very, very, this will probably be one of the quietest weeks for me. It will be very, very quiet for me. So I think I'm going to enjoy this, and knowing that for me, when it gets quiet, that's the time you should take all that time to enjoy, relax, recharge for when the next big wave of work comes in again. Right? I think next week is going to get busy again, but this week, like there's some members from America. I know that a big group from Malaysia is coming, and a friend from India is coming, but they're not a huge group. And even Malaysia, I'm not even in charge of Malaysia, so it's not like it's my group kind of thing, right? But yeah, I am going to very much enjoy this, right? And yeah, man, I can't believe November is around the corner. Yeah, November is around the corner, which also means like Halloween is coming up next week, right? Yeah, Halloween is next week. Do you guys still celebrate Halloween at all? I mean, not like celebrate, but like if you have kids, maybe your kids go out trick-or-treating, or your house will give out candy, or maybe a costume party, or I don't know. Anything happening at church for Halloween, right? I know, of course, I know that many Christians hate and troll churches if they celebrate Halloween. Personally, I don't think it's a big deal at all. Like zero. I have no big, it means nothing to me. right? It would just be really weird, though, if we had a costume party at church and everyone dressed like Satan. Yeah, that would be really weird. And that would be like, that would be kind of awkward, too, is like, how come everyone's dressed like Satan, right? But, yeah. Actually, you know what? Like, I had this really interesting comment on the Rebel Pastor channel. And for me, it was very interesting to see this person's thoughts because it was an old video that they watched, and they said, like, because when we had those pictures of the Holy Son and the person who went to heaven, and we see I think some of the pictures were shown on some of the videos, and they're like, oh, why are you showing white Jesus? This is idol worship. And for me, it was quite interesting because their whole point was, was it the second? Yeah, the second commandment, thou shalt have no idols, right? So this person is saying that if you have a picture of Jesus on your wall, then that itself is an idol. And for me, I was just like, that's an interesting, the way that they explained it too didn't really make sense to me. Like maybe it's because the picture is an idol, I guess, because it's not the real Jesus. I don't know. It was just very, very interesting for me to hear that having a picture of Jesus on your wall is idol worship when it's actually Jesus. Like, you're not worshiping the picture itself. You're worshiping Jesus. Like, you look at that and it reminds you of Jesus. And you know what? Does anyone know what Jesus looks like? No, but we're a very physical people, and physical people need physical things to kind of bring our minds to where it should be, right? And, you could kind of tell that this person is probably American, I would say. And, I don't know if they're American, but they're probably pretty woke. Woke meaning they bring up race in a situation where it doesn't really matter, right? And for me, I'm just I just find it very interesting what people bring up. And people bring up things that are very, what's the word? Like, it feels out of pocket in my mind. But it's really interesting that you get to see what different people actually think about and feel, right? And of course, there are those that express themselves too much, and that's fine. But it's very, very interesting to see that. I thought it was interesting. I really did. So when I looked at it, I was like, oh, wow, what an interesting question. I would have never thought about that as idol worship. And I think I do remember someone else saying something similar about that too a long time ago in the past. Long time ago. But it is something that I looked at and said, yeah, interesting. For me, not a big deal. I don't think it's idol worship because I'm worshiping Jesus, and it's just kind of a symbolic thing more than an idol kind of thing, right? Like, I would think an idol would be someone who's not Jesus. You know what? Can I idolize Jesus? Of course I can idolize Jesus, right? But it was just interesting just to see that the rationale and thinking of different people and the way and the things that they think about is much different than what I think about too. But yeah, food for thought, and it allows us to see the different thoughts that different people have, right? Like, I was still wondering, I was asking for the reasoning or the logic behind it, and they're basically like, it's in the Bible. And I was just like, true, but everyone's interpretation of the Bible, their interpretation comes from the Bible too, but it doesn't mean that because it's in the Bible that your interpretation is the right one, So I found that to be quite interesting. The poll, by the way, I really like this poll of when you guys think that I will actually miss my first podcast. Over 60 people have spoken, and I am very grateful and thankful for your vote of confidence in me that you said that I will never, 70% of you have that faith in me that I will never miss a podcast. Hallelujah, and thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful and thankful for that. And then the next one is 18%. So almost a fifth of the people think that I will probably miss my first podcast sometime next year from January to March. But I do think a lot of people are thinking that I'm going to miss sometime around 316 because it's going to be so hectic and busy during that time, which does make sense, right? It's going to be crazy during 316 here. When it comes to foreigners, there are so many foreigners coming, ridiculous amounts of foreigners. And, there's 3 months ago, countries have already been booking accommodations from 3 months ago. And you may think it's way too early to do it, but from the numbers that I'm looking at right now, there are going to be hundreds and hundreds and probably over 1,000 foreigners that are going to come. That's what it feels like, right? So, and of course, it's Sunsteam's 80th birthday next year, so that's a really, really big milestone also. But yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to be at 316 next year. But it's going to be awesome, because just to see everyone coming together in celebration, becoming one with the person that God has sent and stuff. So for me, I'm just like, yeah, that's going to be exciting. Will I miss an actual podcast? I don't actually know if I'll miss a podcast, but I think it's going to be, it's very possible. Well, 316 next year, what day is it on? Is it on a Sunday? Is it? Let me just check the months. December, January, February, March. March 16th is on a Sunday. Oof. That's, wow. That is quite possible. Yeah, actually, it is quite possible that I might miss that time. It's very possible, but I still have faith, right? And I don't know if that's enough for us to really think that that's if that's good enough reason. But I think I should be fine. I have weathered the actually no, but I haven't had it with this mission. But yeah, I think I weathered the storm. I've done it so far for the last 2.5 months, and I haven't had an issue with it. But I think I will be able to. I think I can weather the storm there. Because March 16th is the day that I started this podcast, which also means that it's going to be, because it's the day I started the podcast, it's the anniversary. So it's going to be 5 years on March 16th. It's going to be 5 years of MSD. 5 freaking years. That's we're at 4.5 right now. We're only 5 years, like we're 6 months away from being 5 years of this podcast. I really hope it grows even more. Like even now we have the Tuesday podcast from Eddie and Rachel, and then we have Daniel, who's doing like Until the End on every Fridays and such. I hope there's more people that are going to come out to do some other podcasts too, have some different people talking about different things. I think that's going to be quite awesome also. Like I love it with Love and Life with Aaron and Chelsea. Like they do such a great job when it comes to family things. And I think it's a necessary voice we do need to hear. I really do. And, it's an exciting time. As hard as it is, this is the most exciting time in history right now. And I hope that we will be able to, live and fulfill God's will this entire time while we're here. Yeah. So, yeah, lots of things to think about, right? And I'm very, very grateful and thankful that you guys have put your trust in me with this poll. I am very thankful because I actually thought more people would be writing that I would be missing very, very soon. But either way, okay? That is the first segment for today. Hope it's something that kind of, helps you to relax and open your heart and your mind. We will get into the Sunday Metro Word Study, which I look very much forward to. But before that, let's get into the first music break of the day.
Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. No, I'm not slipping through. No, I'm not falling down. The
Only thing that's falling's my knees on the floor, I'm praying. Lord, will you give me strength? Lord, will you give me power? I can't do this myself, so bless me in the morning hours. All the demons test me, but they will never shake me. If I pray, they hate me. If I pray, you love me. Connected with you's the only thing that matters. And honestly, I couldn't be happier while I'm praying on my knees. I trust you with all my heart, for you always come through. For myself, for my family, for myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart, so I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. I pray to never just settle for good when great is available. Who's the mastermind behind this mind? I give all the credit to God, that's why I'm back. They mad that I made it, I know that the Satans, they hate it. I keep working hard just to make progress. Now I'm on 10, trust the process, ayy. Look at my efforts lately, I'm setting conditions daily. I'm praying on my knees, so bless me. Please bless me, please bless me. Tribulations always come and go, I will never stop, just always know your focus determines reality, stay solid, that's why I'm praying on my knees. I trust you with all my heart, for you to always come through. For myself, for my family, on myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart, so I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. SB.
All right, so let's get into today's Sunday message word study, and what a powerful message it is. And it has to do with kind of what we've been talking on this podcast for the last couple of weeks when it came to repentance and how we really, really need to pray for our nation, right? And ultimately, I'll tell you guys right now, this message, ultimately it was God's will. Great message, great points. I do want to use this for my rebel pastor, but I like that it answers a huge question, right? Is everything that happened, like including all the wicked and bad stuff, is that God's will? And this is something that we kind of just, people throw, especially people of faith, throw that word around. It's God's will, right? And I love I love how Sunstream explains it as in, yes, there is God's will. And of course, that first thing that Sunstream talks about is Jesus dying on the cross. Is that God's will? Is it God's will for people to be wicked? Is it God's will for people to reject the Messiah? You know what I mean? Is that God's will? Because that's a really terrible way to think of things, right? And we have to understand this really well is the thing that we have to look at it as absolute and relative predestination, as in what is absolutely predestined is what is good. That is absolutely predestined, and God wants salvation to come through Jesus Christ by believing and following him. That is absolutely predestined, and no matter what, that was going to happen, no matter what. Now, is it predestined that all the wicked things happen, like Judas Iscariot, his own disciple, betraying him, or John the Baptist not knowing properly, or the Israel, the chosen people, opposing Jesus, capturing him and actually killing him, right? It's not. Do you think that's the reason why all this is happening? So we have to understand is Jesus doesn't go to the cross. He doesn't go to the path of dying because of someone or something. When we look at grand, big picture, right? It's not the people that are making Jesus do these things. Ultimately, if there was no will, then Jesus didn't have to die. Like, there's no point of him dying anyways if there's no will towards it. But because there's a will for salvation, it has to happen, right? But the wickedness is not predestined. Right, just like when you look at, sometimes you talked about Joseph's story of his own brothers selling him. Tell me how crazy that is. How much you need to hate your brother to sell him to slavery, right? And then on top of it, being accused by Potiphar's wife. And these are all things that we look at. We're like, man, is that God's will? Can we just say, oh, it was all God's will? And we also think to ourselves is, oh, it must have been God's will, because if his brothers didn't do that, and if Potiphar's wife didn't do that, how could he get to Egypt? Right? There's no way he could fulfill God's will in such an amazing and awesome way. Right? It's not because of that. There's God's will. Right? Because it's God's will, no matter what. Since you said this in a message a couple weeks ago too, he said, yes, it was the will to go to Egypt, but going to Egypt could be done in multiple ways. Is it really, it has to be done through wickedness? Like, that's what it has to be done through? Right? So we need to realize like who God truly is, because if we just kind of make it that easy, what happens is we teach wrongly about God and we misunderstand God. Right? It's not about Joseph's brothers like hating him and selling him. Like, going to prison wasn't for that reason. The result, right? When you look at the result, it was because of God's will. That's the result. Without the will of God, God wouldn't help Joseph to become the prime minister of Egypt, right? So it has to be God's will when you look at the result, right? However, Joseph's brothers hating him and Potiphar's wife falsely accusing him were not God's will. It's because those people were wicked. Right? And you have to think about it like this. If it was actually God's will, that means Potiphar's wife and Joseph's brothers were actually fulfilling God's will, which means that they shouldn't get punished. Right? They shouldn't get punished. They'll pay for their sins. And it's not going to be any different for this time period. What the result we'll see of what happens from all the mess that's happening right now is going to be awesome. It's going to be God's will, 100%. However, the wickedness that happens during this time, that is not God's will. And that is something that we have to understand, is they're going to get punished for it. And this is how, when you look at how everything happened throughout the Bible, all the stories, it's always happened that way because people cause harm. People are wicked. And what's going to happen is if you misunderstand God if you don't understand this well and you misunderstand God, what's going to actually happen? Well, what's actually going to happen is you're going to start doubting God and you're going to start misunderstanding God. You think, what is God's, what's happening right here? Every time period, what's happening? Sin is accumulating, right? And then once the sin reaches a certain point, God has to judge. Like, we have to realize this. God has no will for the wicked to torment the righteous. There's no will in that. It's because they are wicked and they're going to pay the price for their sin. People will pay the price for tormenting the righteous. People will pay the price for going against God's will, not obeying what God wants. They're going to receive the price of their sin, right? We cannot say that, oh, it's God's will. Because if you say it's God's will for everything to happen, then there's no sin involved. And it's because we think this way, there's a lot of people that fail to interpret the Bible properly. That's what exactly happens, right? And we need to understand is, according to the people, if the people are good at the time, then what's going to happen? It's going to be God's will according to what is good. And then if the people are wicked, then it goes according to the wicked. Like God's will goes according to how the wicked treat the ones sent to the time period. So those who have treated him with good, and their time period, then their time period is going to go towards goodness. And then as we've seen with the time of Jesus and today, if it's wickedness, then they're going towards wickedness, like you see right now. The biggest problem is people don't know the Bible very well, right? And if you don't know the Bible very well, if you don't even know what sin is, I think we've all been victims of this, that even when something is not a sin, we consider it sin and we feel tormented by it. That's what's going to happen. How many times we felt that is we think like sometimes we learn a little bit too strict or a little bit too harsh. And then we think every little thing is a sin. We feel tormented in our hearts and like, oh, we're worthless. We have too much sin. Or even on top of that, if people don't know, people start doing like extreme sins. And they'll end up tormenting the righteous. And they'll think they're doing righteousness. Like in the name of righteousness, they're doing it, but they're actually doing something wicked. Like even what Paul did, Paul was killing Christians, right? If we look at the Bible, we see that the people of mission of every time period, they put their lives into God's will, which means whether the world hates them, whether they disbelieve them, or whether they're righteous and good and walk the path of the will, no matter what, it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. Just like the time of Jesus. Judas Iscariot and dozens of people that time period just hated him, hated Jesus, and they crucified him, right? The time period basically disbelieved, even though he was the Messiah. However, in the end, when you look at the result, it was God's will. It was God's will. Right? The will was always fulfilled throughout time. Always. Right? And I think this is a very important point. It's like God predestined that if you believe in Jesus as the Messiah, repent and believe in God, you're going to be saved. That is absolutely predestined. And that actually happened. Which also means is if that is something that actually happens, that's the big thing, then it makes us realize what? It makes us realize that the process to get to that end point is different depending on is the time period wicked or is the time period good, right? And that's why, we have to look at the things that God does correctly, interpret them correctly, and if we can interpret them correctly, we can interpret the Bible better too, and we can actually know God's will. Look at the one that God has sent. God has been teaching this person for decades, enlightening people about the time period, about the complete testament, and yet people still failed to do their responsibility, turned their backs, and took action in disbelief. They were tempted by Satan. They were tempted by human Satans, and they disbelieved in God's history. And that's what's the time for now? It's time for the righteous to forgive their enemies cleanly and completely to the point they no longer can, and pray for them. And if we do this right, Satan has no foothold over us. There's no fault in us that Satan can say, they didn't do this properly. We're the righteous. We're the ones that fulfill God's will, right? We fulfill God's will while suffering from the wicked. And this should be answering a ton of questions that people have of like, do we really need to pay for the sins of the wicked? And the answer is absolutely, it's God's will. It's not any different than all the different things that happened in other times in this history. We have to fight that fight. And some of us, we might think to ourselves like, oh my gosh, should I really, really be like, these people did so much damage to Providence. And that's kind of one of the things that we talked about is the individual fight in your heart of good and evil. You have to win against the heart of evil. You have to be the one that says, all right, time to repent for this generation, for the people in my nation, right? This is how we're going to pull them out of the domain of death. It's going to be through prayer, right? We have to pray for the wicked to be treated as the righteous. And only when we do this, God protects them from being judged along with the wicked when he was judging them. So we could get judged along with the wicked, but if you don't, you got to pray for them and forgive them. We got to do that. And we could think to ourselves, kind of like that proverb about if the manger is empty, you don't have to clean if there's no oxen, you don't have to clean the stall, right? But if you have an oxen, you benefit from the oxen, but you still have to do the work that pertains to it. And we have to realize there's a great work that pertains to those that are believing and following this history, right? That's the things that we need to do. This message is perfectly in line what we've been talking about on this podcast. We can't live according to our own thoughts, our own ways. I just want to live comfortably. No. If we think this way, it means we don't know the Bible properly. And we haven't lived the perfect life of serving, honoring, and loving God, the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Son. And one thing Susie said in the message is, these people will also regret that they couldn't do what they needed to do when I was next to them. Guys, we have to learn the word well, or else our faith cannot stand firm. We're going to live a life of faith half in doubt. We have to reach that level of loving Jesus more than ever. Right? And there was that powerful part, and I'm going to talk, I'll talk a little bit about this, but I'm probably talking about it now for Provi In The Media. This is exactly the topic. Right? There's the three people that suffered that were, three females that were in prison, and then they came out, right? Guess what happened on October 8th? Well, according to the message, their case completely ended safely with the final verdict from the Supreme Court, and now those three don't have to go to prison. It's done, right? And some seems like, God told me not to worry. And God said he'll do it according to what they've done and according to the revelation that was shown to Sunseem. And it happened as God said. And Sunseem was so happy. He rejoiced and thanked God, saying, I feel as if I'm the one who got released from prison. And Sunseem said that God and the Holy Spirit enlightened him and said, magnify what just happened to these three girls and look. The same is true for Providence and the nation. In any time period, whoever it is, when someone bears the sin of the time period, this is what happens. So we have to magnify what just happened with the Supreme Court allowing these three girls to be set free completely. They don't have to go to court anymore. It's huge. The same is true for Providence and the nation. It's the same thing. So we see that something was paid through these three girls, right? What they have done, the prison they went, the time in prison that they spent, something was done. A condition was set. And Sunseem said, magnify and look. Well, God and the Holy Spirit enlightened Sunseem and said, magnify what just happened to them. And it's the same thing is true for Providence and the nation. Something big just happened. We're just not sure what the final result's going to be, right? But what we know is that the person God sends in each time period bears the sin of that time period from God's position, right? Which means that we have to also do our responsibility. We do. We have to do our responsibility and pay the price of the sins, right? Those on the side of heaven have to bear the sins of this time period. Those who were in the domain of death were able to come out to life. When those who were going through difficulties among the members of Providence were released from prison and they were able to come out to the light and be free, the same happened to the nation. That is a powerful thing. Something just happened that's so huge from the condition of those three girls coming out. Finally, something happened to the nation We just don't know exactly what it is yet, right? But guys, if we want to evangelize, what did the message say? We have to work hard, bear the sins of those who are still in death, those who need to be evangelized still. And if we do this, right, we have to pray, we have to repent for them, and then we can evangelize. Pray for them as if those are your sins. And only after it's resolved, evangelize them. Since the nation of Providence has come out from the domain of death, we need to now continuously fulfill God's history. It's time to go out and fulfill God's history. It's because God and the one sent have set the condition. Know this perfectly. Don't misunderstand God. Always pray for your nation. Your nation is a magnification of your body. If you want to go, if you save those who have fallen into a pit or caught in a fire, but came back without saving them, they will continue to be in that pit or fire. We got to save them. Sasim said, realize what I mean by bearing the sin. With the nation and the world too, the leaders have to set conditions that bear the sin. It doesn't mean just head leaders. It means those who are truly leaders in the church. This is when people are actually saved. It's huge, guys. This is huge. Who's going to lead these people out of judgment? It's only those that learned about God, realize God, know this history, know the word. Remember this. Last point. In every time period, if the time period is wicked, the one God sent to that time period has to sacrifice himself before God on behalf of the sins of that time period, just like the time of Moses, just like the time of Ezekiel or Jesus. And if he doesn't, then the nation and all the followers will be destroyed along with him, and that's why he's going to do it for sure. God, this is quite sad too. It said one of the last points is God absolutely has those he sent sacrifice themselves like a grain of wheat. He takes action as it is said in the Bible, so that from there sprouts come out and yield hundreds of times over. Right? We have to get out of our living only with our own thoughts and just thinking about our individual life. We got to get out of that. Because when we're on our own path, we're going to be on the wide path of death, and we're not going to even know it. We're going to think, oh, I'm in Providence, so everything is fine. Stop doing things according to your own thoughts. They are being influenced. God said, you are being influenced and controlled by Satan. Deep, powerful message. I really enjoyed that too. Yeah. It's setting the standard right now. What do we have to do? Bear the sins like they're our own. All right? So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed that message. It was powerful, and I hope that you guys will enjoy more of it too. Okay? So yeah, before we get into Provi In The Media, let's let's get into the final music break of the day.
I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. We stay looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. 10 years of struggle, 10 years of pain, but I'll finally get to see you no more. Just calling your name. And the ones who wonder who, just open up your eyes. He's waiting for you too. He's not a man in disguise. And the hardest cross to bear, but your heart's not what I wear. To think this effort and this love could overcome the dirty stairs. And it's all because of you. Yeah, it's all because of you. Said it's all because of you. Yeah, I need you. Looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one.
Okay, so let's get into the final segment for today, which is Provi In The Media. And of course, I'm going to go over those three, that Supreme Court hearing that just finished on October 8th. And of course, it's for those three girls that went into prison. And they finished the final leg, which is the Supreme Court, which Sunseem's trial is going to go into also. But it's awesome. Great news. Sunseem is super happy. And it makes me feel so joyful and happy that the heavens are that happy, and they're a symbol of what's happening in Providence right now. And just to give you the details of it, the details is basically all three do not have to go to prison, and I believe that just one of them will be on probation, right? Which basically means as long as they don't do anything wrong, they'll be fine, right? And I think their record will even get expunged. But no one's going to prison. Hallelujah, thank God. And I hope that we can, just really give thanksgiving to God and the Holy Trinity for allowing such an amazing thing to happen. Sunseem said he was so happy. It felt better than even him coming out of jail. Like he's like, I felt like I was set free. And if Sunseem feels that way, can you imagine how God and the Holy Trinity feels about this full situation here too? I think it's something that we look at and say, wow, that is incredible that type of thing is happening. So that's the only big news that we have right now. We are now all preparing for the Supreme Court to go over this trial once again. And we are going to we got to pray for this, guys. This 40-day prayer condition is ongoing. Second week that is happening. I hope that, we haven't even hit the halfway point. So let's really make sure that we can get this done perfectly and this really take on the sins of our nation. Always pray for our nation, repent for our nation, so we do the same. You know what's something even amazing is? On Saturday, I recorded the Rebel Pastor, and it's completely this topic. And I was like really shocked that when I was listening to the Sunday message about this too. But either way, everyone have an amazing and awesome Monday. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, I'm on the Morning Star Drive, I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, I'm on the Morning Star Drive,